Barbara J. Beckley. So wonderful to be here again on the show. This show, just to let everybody know, this is to maximize your reach and impact with experts' visibility strategies that they add. And I kind of weave that in for you to getting to know those particular individuals that I bring on. It could be coaches, it could be educators, it could be singers, it could be authors, you name it. I'm bringing them here to the Visibility Corner because, first of all, I think one nice thing about it is you get to know people that are what I always say, lighthouse to the world. They are reaching people. They're talking to people. They're giving people hope through their stories, through what they do, through who they help. And then at that point, you got to understand how they get visible. How do they put themselves out there? How do they say, you know what? During the day, yes, I am on Facebook doing videos, or maybe I have my own YouTube channel, or maybe even giving you some tips of what not to do. And I love those type of tips because I'm always telling people, please save me from something that I don't have to do. And maybe you went through it. I hate that you went through it, but at least you're sharing it and making sure that you're caring enough to say, you know what? I did this. No. You might not want to do that. Or it might be something that worked for you, but not for them. So that's why I bring on different experts, different individuals, different entrepreneurs to talk about who they are. So this is one platform, like I tell people, you can come and get visible. You can come and talk about who you are. But then, like I said, show the love back. It's like giving, just making good for, giving it go forward and helping others in the same sense. So today we have a wonderful, and when I have women come on my show, I call them queens. They are royalty to me. So Mrs. Krystal is going to be coming on, and I already want to let her know her crown is up there. It might not people see it, but I see it. And others that respect us as women is going to see it too. And what do I always say about queens as they do so much. But one thing, I love the women that when they're humble and they say, well, I'm just trying to help other people as I'm going through everything in life that I'm going through. And that's why I call them queens, because they just do so much, and just wonderful to do that because they're helping so many others in the world. So with that said, I want to introduce this lady. Just meeting her, I'm already feeling a good vibe. I'm already feeling her energy, and I'm already feeling her golden heart that she gives out to help people. One thing that she's going to talk about a little bit, which I need help in, see, I'm being a little selfish here, and I know it's going to help others, is decluttering everything in the way. Now, I know we all have some issues in our life. It don't have to be just a closet. It could be here. See, a lot of people don't think about that. Decluttering could start right here in the mind, right? I know that's for me. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. She is basically the founder of Design Life Studio. And what she does is she's an interior designer and clutter expert, and she helps soul-driven entrepreneurs use their space as a source of power to help them achieve their personal and professional goals faster. And I like that word, faster. I think a lot of people like that word too, because a lot of times things take forever and we don't have that time, right? Time is of the essence. So let me bring on this queen. But wait a minute, I can't just throw her on the screen. I have to do her justice. So we will be right back after this short video. Hello, queen.
Hello. I didn't know you were going to do a video. That was so awesome. Thank you. That was so cool.
I was saying to myself, I said, I hope she likes the pictures. So we wanted to make sure that we give you that love. And, You know, we want, like I said, this is visibility. So we want to make sure people are like, boom, they know who Krystal is. So before I even start, like I always, and I did it in the virtual room, thank you, lady. Thank you so much for taking the time out today to come on the Visibility Corner. Like I said, I love bringing in the gurus. I love bringing in people that are doing their thing and helping others and just showing in different ways in their life, be it, you know, in business, personal, financial, whatever it is. So for you, lady, when I was reading, when I seen decluttered already, I was like, yes, I need to hear Krystal. Because I mean, yeah. I mean, I know you do so much more, but when I seen that word, I said, yeah, yeah. And then I thought about, like I said earlier, it doesn't have to just be, you know, because some decluttering, you know, your closet, your garage, whatever, because, you know, there's needs there too, of course. Mm-hmm. But sometimes just declutter, you know, your mind get decluttered with a lot of things, and then you don't get nothing done because you got so much going on there, and you're not really, you know, putting things in order. So before we even start, lady, I want to just uncover just a little bit, because I always want to know what got you to this point of being this wonderful queen and what you do in life.
Oh my goodness. It was really my my healing journey that got me here. And my own determination, really. I mean, I'd always wanted to have a business. I tried a number of businesses to be like, is this the one? Is this the one? Is like, you know, just back and forth. And I finally found my niche in interior design. It just took me a while to get there. I should have got there a lot earlier. It's been a thing since childhood. But, you know, you kind of overlook the obvious sometimes.
You do. You're right.
And honestly, even when I started like my first interior design business, there was still something kind of missing. When I came into the Feng Shui part of it, that to me was like, aha, I found my missing piece of this was what I was looking for. You know, I really wanted to help the women that were on the journey with me. I was on a healing journey, and I was going through so much in my personal life. And I was working with different mentors and different coaches and different groups of women, and they were all in the same place as me. And, you know, I wanted to, like, gifts is my love language. I wanted to be able to help them in the way that I was helping myself with, like, the secret weapon of, well, let's get your power source in alignment so that you know, the energy of the world is supporting you in the mission that you're on. And so that was kind of where I started back when I was, you know, still dreaming of, these are all the things I want in my life. You know, I was single. I wanted a relationship. I wanted a healthy relationship. I'd had quite a few abusive relationships, and I really was working on me. Like, I figured out I was the common denominator in why I wasn't happy with my life. And, you know, I was on this mission, and yeah, so that's sort of where I started.
Well, you know, I love every time, like I said, I like hearing the stories behind the story, because it really does two things. First of all, just gets to know you even more of why you're where you're at, and just you understand, right? Second, like you said, you were dealing with some things with yourself, and you said, you know, you wanted healing and stuff. Plus, you've seen others. See, that's what I love. What you've seen others that needed it, and you're like, you know what? I just don't want to just do this for me. I want to kind of help everybody else around here. We should all need the same kind of healing here. And then you took it and it just ran, and look at where you're doing now. You're helping so many people.
I fell so in love with it. Like, I just seeing, you know, the process. First of all, I already loved interior design, but then being able to help them and change their lives, not just their room, but like their whole lives were changing as a result of, you know, getting that energy into alignment, getting their foundation settled, you know, so that they were building their life from the foundation, you know, up. And yeah, I just fell in love with my work, and it took me completely down a rabbit hole that really completely transformed me. gave me the opportunity to heal from my own past,
Mm-hmm.
and completely transformed my own life. So it was a little selfish of me in the beginning too. Like, I want to help you, but it turned out
So much more.
so much more. Yeah, so much
See,
more.
see, it's one thing when you do. I always tell people when you finally do something that you really love, when you really find something that you're passionate about, no matter what, it just opens up so much to your world, and then the second part of it opens up to others that what you've been doing. So you always say we start with ourselves first, get ourselves in a certain way, and then once we flourish, then you can start saying, okay, let me, come on in. I not only help everybody, because I'm just so passionate about this. And
Right.
I see when you talk, you get to see it just comes out of you. And that's just beautiful. That's just totally beautiful. I always tell people in your lifetime, when we have this one life, please find something that's going to make that joy come out of you and that passion. So I see it in you, Krystal, Queen Krystal.
Krystal. Yeah, I love my work. I would not give it up for anything.
So now I was going to ask you, now going into that, I know two of the points that you mentioned when you filled out the form was making room for the life you want. So you talked a little bit about that, but I was going to ask you, how do you work that in when you're dealing with your clients? I know you do the interior decorating, but how do you get to that point of, the life that they want, basically?
That is sort of how and why, I guess, that I developed the design life method. I started with just Feng Shui, and wanting to help them just Feng Shui their space and get the energy, when I first started, even when I was still a student learning Feng Shui, that was where I was the selfish one. Like, I need guinea pigs. Who wants to volunteer to let me Feng Shui your house and practice on you, really? But as I was working with them, so much developed out of that, the seeing where they were stuck, with not being able to like let go of the past, let go of the physical past, let go of the the emotional and mental stuff like you talked about earlier. That was really when I started with that, was with those initial clients, was really even learning and seeing that process begin. And then it kind of developed into, I was offering to help them find love. That's where I was on my journey. I was single and, ready to find love, and that's where they were. And so we had to look at, like, okay, well, if the person who has love is somebody different than who you are right now. Like, what I mean? Like, we are in the transformation. And so it ended up developing like how I design for people. I kind of started working with clients more like, we're designing you first, so that then we know who we're designing for. Like, so it ended up becoming this whole new process, not just of interviewing the client, like who you are today and what is it that you want and what have you. It ended up evolving into this, who are you becoming? And let's design for her so that we can make room for her to manifest and blossom and grow and become. And so it ended up becoming this whole method, right? And then Feng Shui was just a small part of it, because I really started seeing this relationship in how the home is, how the space is a reflection of them, and how that energy and how that relationship either supports or drains the person in the life they are trying to create. Because it's all a reflection of, I like to say it's a barometer of where you are. So when you're in the trauma, your space will reflect that. And when you're in the healing, your space will reflect that. And when you're in that space of having become, your space reflects that too. But therefore you can do it in the opposite direction, and you can design the space for the becoming, and it sort of like forces the, you know what I mean? It's like, it gives you that boost to get you there. Because you're It's similar to like if you catch the flu and you're in bed and you got, dirty bowls and dishes and everything, Kleenexes and next to you because you haven't been feeling good. And you start, when you start to clean that up, you'll start to feel better. The same way that when you start to feel better, you'll get around to cleaning it up. You can force yourself to feel better by cleaning it up early. It's the same idea. It's just on a way bigger scale than, than just.
I was going to say, I was just jumping in my mind when you were saying that, Krystal, but when you made the example about, when you're sick and you have everything, because I know when I get sick, I'm in it for a minute because, you're just like, oh, it's just, I'm not feeling it. And then all of a sudden I look around, I'm like, okay, Barbara, you're going to be, for a few days if you don't just look at what's around you. There's tissue, there's all that kind of stuff. Like I said, you took the example right in my head. And then all of a sudden I did this jolt. Because I know last time I was sick, I was looking around. I didn't even like what I was looking at. And I just said, let me get up and clean. So I started cleaning up, putting stuff in the garbage and stuff. And you're right. I mean, I didn't feel like 100%
but you feel better.
I felt better, and I knew I had to, do that to help myself.
You feel better, but you feel what is the word that I want? Like SMART goals, right? What's the letter? Like it's documentable. You can tell. I can't think of the word that I want right there.
Well, I know it's measurable. It's
measurable. There you go. Measurable. Thank you. I was like, SMART goals. I know there's a letter in there for this. It's measurable. You feel measurably better. Maybe not 100%, but it's significant enough to be measurable. So yeah.
And then you took action. You finally took action. You're not just, you don't want to stay here forever. But then all of a sudden, because when you start getting sick of your own self, being sick of yourself, I always tell people when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired of yourself, somewhere it has to happen. And I was getting that mode. And just as one example, like you said, and I know for myself, I have to be, if I'm at home working now or wherever, I have to have things in order. When things start going like paper all over the place and I'm looking for pens and all that stuff, then I feel like I'm just out of sync.
Yeah, the chaos is overwhelming and it's got to be dealt with. Yeah, and it's because your space is reflecting what's going on internally. And so you can't get your thoughts in order. But once you get your space in order, now all of a sudden you've got clarity.
That is so. There's another example. When you were just saying that, that's so true. Because before the COVID and everything, and we were all in the office, when I was in the office working with the little cubicles with everybody, you can always tell the people that were just maybe procrastinating or just wasn't there to the people that were just like on it by their desk. Because I mean, there was a few people there. I mean, I'm telling you, Krystal, I think they took the house and brought it to the office. I mean, it's just so much stuff. And I was like, how can't you find anything? You're going into it's like, what? but then with the work, they show by their work. And the sad part about it was it did. Some people could work. It was weird how some people can work even with all that going on. They still was kind of working okay. But most of the time it was, you can tell how they were, and then their workload was the same way. It's kind of the same way. And that was one example. When you brought that out, I said, "Oh, that reminds me of that." Of that part of it. Yeah.
Well, and creativity is such a messy process that as entrepreneurs, we find ourselves in the messy process of creation so often that it's very important that we take a step back and clean up our mess. Yeah. Right. Just like cooking dinner, you wash dishes, right? You got to clean up your mess of creation too. I mean, it's important to allow yourself to get messy, right? And get your hands dirty in the creation and don't try to clean in the process. But you definitely need to schedule that, the cleaning up regularly so that you're, especially since it's entrepreneurship anyway, is such a personal development journey all on its own. Right?
So it is.
So you're always going to be developing new clutter as you grow. And so you just have to make it a thing. Like it just has to become a part of life.
And I love what you said too, what you do for the entrepreneurs. Like you said, using their space as a source of power to help them achieve their personal and professional goals faster. Source of power really got me with that. I
It
love
is
how
your
you
source
do
of
it.
power.
Yeah.
I mean, your home is your connection to the planet that we are
Mm,
all born out of.
mm,
And that is your connection to
yeah.
the mother, right? And so it is an incredibly important relationship.
Mhm.
It is where, if you think about like your phone battery plugging in, it's where you plug in every night to recharge.
Mm.
It's your safe space where you are allowed to take off all the masks and get completely 100% naked yourself. Like there's no more, you don't have to hide from anything. You are free there. It's your sanctuary, it's your safe space. So it deserves that attention.
Yeah.
But so many of us don't, because we're trained not to give ourselves that kind of attention. And so it feels
Yeah.
wrong.
It's kind of sad sometimes, Queen, when people put themselves, they're trying to help or do so many for other people. And sometimes we tend to put ourselves second or third.
I think
Um,
mostly we're trained to do that, especially as women. We're trained to do that for such a young age that we don't even know any other way of being,
I know it
until
just,
we hit like menopause and we're like, to hell with this. At least that's how it worked for me.
I was about to say, I'm with you. I'm in the same boat with you with that. It's like all of a sudden I got old. I'm like, oh, forget
Right. I don't
whatever.
care anymore. Like, I do not care.
It's funny because I was saying to myself just the other day, I said, boy, if I would have learned this earlier instead of waiting till I, like you said, went through the menopause, maybe some things would have been a little bit different, especially with relationship with men. But that's a whole nother show.
For sure.
But yeah, definitely, Queen. You're right. It's like for far as women, and when I see that now, because like you said, once you get out of that, or your eyes are awareness to say, you know what, I'm not gonna deal with that no more. Then when you see other women going through what you were going through, you want to just yell out so bad, no, don't.
Right, you just
You're
want to help them. You just want to be like, come on, sis, let me get you. Let me help you. Come on. We got to lift each other up. No more
yes.
this whole idea of, like women hating women is that was fed to us too, like to keep us as enemies, because we are strong when we are together, and they
Oh,
got to keep us tore apart, right?
mhm.
To keep us weak. And
Yes.
so it's no,
Mhm. It's like when you said we're strong, all of a sudden I heard in my mind, hear us roar. Hear us roar.
That's right. That's
We are
right.
women, hear us roar. I
Mm-hmm.
love it. I love it. Well, you're right. And that's why I really put out real quickly about, women, and I always call them queens, because I want to remind them of the strong and the strength they have inside themselves. Not just the outer part, but the inner. And it's so important. And I like how you do that with, entrepreneurs, especially women, really reminding them too of, declutter yourself. You're important. You have so much to give, and you
It's
don't need that extra stuff.
That
Yeah.
is so much of the work that I do.
Yeah.
Um, I call it clutter coaching, really, because it's around decluttering the mental and emotional clutter,
Mm-hmm.
that the physical clutter is reflecting,
Yeah.
and representing. And so it's so much of the work that I do when I work with clients that um, makes a huge difference, though.
Yeah. Well, you're making a huge difference, Queen, and I'm just humbled just to meet you and talk to you about what you do. Like I said, you're a lighthouse of the world. Now, one thing I wanted to ask, because this is the other part of the Visibility Corner, if you can give us just a tad, just a small little, because I always tell people getting some tips or maybe learning experiences that you have when it comes to getting visibility for you. So in your lane, what do you do, or something that you can just share with the audience, as something that worked or didn't work?
Sure. Um, well, I do these podcasts. I love doing this. I love meeting the hosts of these podcasts and getting to have these conversations. And the people that I meet from the audience that, reach out to me later, or, that I hear from. Um, I love doing that. That's a big part of it. I also have my own YouTube channel. And so that has been a really fun way to work on visibility. Most of the other social media didn't really work for me. I tried that for a few years early in business, and it really didn't do a lot for my business. Whereas like YouTube, much better. And so those are probably the two of the biggest for me. I do like public speaking. So podcasting and YouTube is good for that as well, because it gives me a whole lot of practice to be able to just speak and get comfortable. But yeah, public speaking.
That's what I'm glad you brought up, the fact about how certain things work and certain things you found it didn't work in the social media world. Because I deal with a lot of people. That's one of my things too. I'm a social media strategist. And I always tell people, just because there's all those platforms out there, and now there's Thread, part of Instagram, where now everybody's zooming to that. I mean, it's going to be forever ending. I keep telling people when it comes to
I'm not going to go jump on there. I mean, it's just going to be like, what was that last one on iPhone? The one that everybody was like, oh my God, come get on this one. And but it was only for iPhone people. And it's
Clubhouse. Yeah.
Clubhouse. There you go. Is that even still around? Yeah. You know, like, you never hear about it anymore. Like, I feel like they start and it's like, ooh, here's all the hype. And then they just sort of lose it. For me, social media is about being social. It's not necessarily about growing a business. And a lot of us, I feel like I wasted a lot of time trying to grow a business on social media when it wasn't what was going to work for my business ever, really.
And I always tell people they have to look at social media as a toolbox. It's a tool in your toolbox of marketing your business. So when I say it like that, it's one tool compared to the whole marketing strategy that you do. And social media is not the big animal there. It's just a tool. And a lot of people switch it and they get caught up like, well, I've been on social media, I've been posting, I don't have anybody. I said, but you're supposed to be using it as your number one marketing strategy for your business.
I honestly use Facebook and YouTube, or excuse me, Facebook and Instagram to market my YouTube channel.
And see, that's what I'm saying. You use it when you need it.
Right. I use those to market people to get to YouTube, and I create content for YouTube.
Yes. And see, you learn what works for you with the tool that's not to say, okay, this is my whole marketing is Facebook, and if they don't get it, then my whole business is shot. Like, well, you can't do it that way. You can't even rely on that. I tell people, please don't do that. Yeah, your business will be shot if you don't, if you just think that's it. But I'm so glad you brought that out, and I'm glad that the YouTube part of it, like you said, is working for you and what you do. So I'm glad you chimed in on that to let the audience know that that's something that you never know, but you got to look at what you do for your own business. But thank you for sharing that, Queen. I really appreciate that.
Sure.
Now, what I want to do, because I want to make sure you get any lasting thoughts to the audience, I'm going to take myself down for like 30 seconds. I'll be back and we'll wrap it up there. So I'll be right back.
Oh, goodness. My thoughts. Do it for yourself. You're the only one that can do the work for you, and design the life that you want. So do it.
Hello, Krystal. So while you're doing that, I'm going to make sure you can tell them, but I was just going to add here how they can contact you. And should it be peaceandprosperityalignment.com?
Yes, absolutely. If anybody wants to schedule a complimentary design consultation, we can talk about your office space and what's your struggles, what do you need help with, and I will help you come up with a plan to transform your space into, like your workspace, into a work sanctuary.
There. So I have it down there. You can reach to the Queen. Make sure that you get in contact with her if you heard anything that you need in your life regarding, just interior design, just understanding your power, understanding about decluttering, the whole works, everything we talked about today. And you might get some extra things like she said about visibility. See? So she's just the Queen Krystal, knowing a whole lot of things, but she has a heart of gold and she wants to help so many, as you can see. That's why we have these conversations. So, Krystal, I really appreciate you coming on the show, lady. Your family now, I always say that. So anytime you want to come back, talk about more about what you're doing, something that might be coming up in your life, please do.
Sure. I would really love to give your audience another gift, if that's okay.
Oh, sure.
Because we've kind of touched on it a little bit, and you even said something about it earlier. I have my own proprietary decluttering method that I offer with clients, and they can download that at declutteryourmindset.com. I will send it to them in an email, and I regularly email all about designing a life that you love with little fun stories and tips, tricks, all sorts of things.
Ooh, I like gifts like that. So audience, you heard Queen Krystal. She has a gift for you. So Krystal, can you just repeat that again where they can get it? I just want to make sure they get that information.
Declutteryourmindset.com.
Okay. Got it. And I'll make sure that I'll put that in the show notes so everybody knows that, you know, Queen is giving a gift. And I tell people when the gift is there, it's a gift. Open the gift. And it can probably help you in some kind of way. And I always say, if you feel like, which I cannot imagine that you can't use it, but let's just say you be like, well, I don't really need it. Give it to somebody else that might, or tell them about the link, because it's very important to get that out there and what Krystal is giving you. So with that said, lady, thank you so much. And I just can't wait. Hopefully we can have you back. Like I said, your family now, and anything that comes up, please make sure that you come back on the show and we get you on here. And to the audience out there, as I always say, maximize your reach and impact with experts here that I put on for your visibility strategies and just getting to know people. Because the biggest thing about visibility, I always say, is to build those relationships so you can be visible for the world and help each and every person. With that said, see you at the next Visibility Corner. My name is Barbara J. Beckley, and we'll see you soon.